And what's some of those kind of yoga things that people do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Loosen up a little bit. Whoa! Fall over. Hello and welcome to the Cloud Therapist vlog. I'm Richard Simon, and today I have Bill Mulligan with me from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Hello, Bill. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks so much for joining me on this talk. Today we're going to be covering all of the activities of the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, or CNCF for short. I will be using the abbreviation CNCF. I think that's going to make it a little bit easier for the conversation to flow today. So as I said, yeah, our talk is going to be about the CNCF, what it is its role, how does it play that role, etc. And now, Bill, I understand that you joined the CNCF quite recently, coming from Kubernetes, which is a company in Germany. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent. So yes, I'm hoping to do a series of talks with Kubernetes in the future. So anybody who's kind of interested in that space, look out for those upcoming conversations. So Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself. Do us like a quick intro and then give us a little bit of information about your role at the CNCF, please.
Sure. So I'm Bill Mulligan. I currently live in Berlin in Germany. I'm actually from a small farm town in Wisconsin. Oh. And my role at the CNCF right now is to focus on marketing and how we tell our story to people across the cloud native ecosystem. And right now I'm focusing on a couple of strategic initiatives that we have going on. Specifically, one, for example, is in the telco space, and we can talk about that one a little bit later.
Cool. Yes, we will be covering a little bit of that. So, and as I said earlier, your previous role and experience was at Kubernetes. What was that about?
Yeah, so that's kind of a funny story. I joined it as a 20-person startup. It's now around 60 people. So I really got to see a really big growth curve there. And as you can imagine, at a small startup like that, you end up doing kind of a lot of different things and tinkering with a lot of different parts. My main roles were in sales and marketing, but at a company that size, you really kind of touch a lot of different parts. And it was a really fun journey.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm sure. I was part of Heptio for a brief period a couple of years ago now. So yes, I can appreciate that sort of early startup mode and sort of the growth of that. Now, the next thing I was going to say was that I know how we sort of met is somewhat disputed, and that's probably because I can't remember exactly how I sort of came across talking with you or having a first conversation with you. But I believe you did and this is my recollection, and I could be probably corrected by one of your colleagues. I mean, no, you didn't. It wasn't there. But I think you did a talk on one of the virtual cloud native meetups. And then I thought, oh, I really need to speak to Bill. I think, it sounds cool. Good presentation, really enjoyed it. And I've got to have him on my vlog. And this was obviously when you were still at Kubernetes, and we were kind of planning to do it while you were still there. And then you kind of moved, and I was thinking, what? Oh, he's moved to CNCF. I go, even better, let's go with that. So yeah, so that's kind of, I think, the history there. But yeah, I just kind of, one other thing I always kind of try to ask is, something about yourself. So something maybe personal to you, can kind of give us maybe favorite film or something like that.
Yeah, so actually one thing I'm super into is biking, and I used to be, you could say, almost a semi-professional biker. And before every KubeCon, when we were in person, we used to kind of organize a ride on the weekend before. And so before this KubeCon, we're actually going to do a virtual bike ride. So if you join the SIG bike channel in the CNCF Slack, you can learn more about what we're doing there. Right, and ride with us.
So does it actually involve the participants having a physical bike, or is it kind of all virtual? The conference is virtual, so
Yeah, virtually biking, you just kind of pedal along.
Well, maybe like the old computer games where you had to press two keys to kind of move your athlete along, or the bicycle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna have to dust off my bike then, if that's the case, for next week to get ready. Excellent. Okay, Bill. So tell us a little bit about the actual projects that the CNCF looks after. I understand that. I mean, I've seen the sort of the eye chart which you guys have about all the projects. That's quite fantastic. I have used that in presentations as well of my own. But yeah, just kind of want to understand a little bit more about whether you guys have any categories for the projects, any statuses, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you were saying, it's as companies try to jump into the cloud native space, it becomes difficult to know where to start or what projects they should look at. And so one kind of basic way that we try to help companies is to put our projects into different categories. So we have the incubation, sandbox, and graduated levels. Okay. And so what this allows companies to do is to look at projects based on the level of maturity. So the highest level, the ones that are like really have been tested in a large variety of organizations at scale and production, are the graduated projects. And this is projects like Kubernetes, Prometheus, Envoy, that have really been, I guess, tested in production and should work at scale for you. Next level down is the incubation, and that's for projects that have seen some adoption. It's not widespread, but we do think companies that are looking to be closer to the cutting edge should start to consider these projects and experiment, trial, POC, and maybe put them forwards into production-like scenarios. And the lowest level is the sandbox levels. And what this really is kind of in a level where companies can come in, collaborate together, experiment, and kind of begin the journey to get to a graduated project. And sandbox level projects should be really seen as something that is experimental and people are trying out new ideas. And I think that's really one of the strengths of the cloud native ecosystem, is that there really is this room for experimentation to try out new ideas, and some work and some don't. And so maybe I can mention the last category too. So people can think of going up the scale from sandbox to incubation to graduated, but sometimes projects don't get full wide scale adoption, or they haven't reached their goals, or there's a different project that has come along and grown greater popularity. And so we also have the archive projects phase. And what the archive projects are is projects that were part of the CNCF, but are no longer kind of under active development.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. And that, I think that makes those kind of categories make perfect sense. And it's a good way, as you said, for, again, all of this is, has a business slant to it. So excellent for, organizations to be able to come in, see what's available, what they can evaluate, at which level of maturity it's at, and so on, and then start looking at kind of adopting that as part of their sort of cloud operating model, or whatever that they've kind of put together for going into the cloud. Excellent. So obviously, Kubernetes is the star of the show. That's kind of been around for some time, so it's the latest buzzword. I think the year of Kubernetes was back in 2017, as I was hearing and reading in the press. So kind of just a brief on what Kubernetes is, just kind of for viewers who haven't or not sort of don't know the details of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kubernetes originally began as a container orchestration system to kind of automate the operations of running containers at scale in production. And it's kind of interesting. It's grown and developed over time, being given different use cases. But I think kind of at the core of Kubernetes, and like the key thing about its infrastructure, is that it's really a bunch of loosely coupled reconciliation loops. And so this actually lends itself to a lot of different use cases. And kind of like the whole basis of the cloud native ecosystem is being able to make changes quickly and reliably with as little effort as possible. And Kubernetes is the foundation of that, with this loosely coupled declarative architecture, really provides a very solid base to start working in a cloud native way.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's picked up dramatically over the last few years. Everybody's pretty much sort of jumped on the bandwagon and certainly included as part of their orchestration platforms and automation platforms for containers and so on. So yeah, definitely the star of the show. Excellent. Okay. And what's kind of some of the latest projects that have either joined or have joined recently have joined any sort of the categories that you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's kind of like two different aspects to this. Obviously, projects are always kind of like moving up the levels from sandbox to incubation and then incubation to graduated. Most projects will join at the sandbox level. And it's actually kind of a testament to the cloud native ecosystem. It seems like at every single TOC meeting, we have like 6 to 10 more projects coming into the CNCF ecosystem. And I think there's quite a few that I'm excited about. One of them is Cert Manager, which is actually originally from the folks at JetStack, of managing certs in production. That one's been, I guess, kind of really cool just because I know the team pretty well. Another one that I'm interested in is actually the Open Yurt project, which is actually coming out of the, I forget which company exactly, but out of the cloud native ecosystem in China. And it's focusing on kind of edge computing, which I think is an exciting new area for the cloud native ecosystem to expand into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of discussions around edge and what does that look like and what sort of process. I think I even saw something about somebody talking about Kubernetes, putting Kubernetes at the edge as well. There was a project I picked up on that. Excellent. So just moving on to another topic about training. So how can somebody kind of certify in some of these CNCF projects? What sort of certification can one get?
Yeah, so one of the great things about being a part of the Linux Foundation is that we also have, besides just the event arms to help us running the largest open source events in the world, we also have a whole training arm too that helps us create training courses to level up the skills of our developers. And so there's a variety of different resources out there. And if you go to Linux Foundation training, you can find them all. But I think the ones that your audience might be most interested in is the Certified Kubernetes Administrator or the Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. And those are both exams and provide you a certification at the end to kind of show to future employers or other people that you're working with that you know how to administer Kubernetes clusters or build applications on top of Kubernetes too. And also launching at KubeCon North America will also be a security related certification for people that want to kind of show that they know how to securely run Kubernetes clusters in production.
Excellent. Okay, great. And what about sort of free resources? So again, if somebody's kind of in IT, an IT team, and kind of wants to do this sort of stuff, or they're part of a class center of excellence and in an organization, where can they go and kind of get some free resources?
Yeah, so the Linux Foundation also has a variety of free courses on edX. I know there's an Introduction to Kubernetes course. We actually just earlier launched an Introduction to Linkerd course. And so if you go to edX and the Linux Foundation, you'll find a variety of free resources there too. Okay,
and Linkerd, what's that about?
So that's another service mesh project.
Okay, right, excellent, fantastic. And that's part of the, obviously part of the CNCF.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, excellent, okay. Great, so what about sort of community events? What do you guys get up to? I know, obviously, I'm aware of personally about KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, which happened to sort of occur at the same time. But what about sort of webinars and other sorts of events? What do you guys sort of do?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we run KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, which is before COVID, the largest open source conference in the world. They're now virtual, not as much, still as much fun, which is a slightly different experience.
Virtual biking.
Yeah, exactly. Virtual biking.
Yeah.
But Besides that, we run webinars for our members every single week. And if you sign up to the CNCF newsletter, you can get notified of all the different webinars that we have going on. If you go to the tab on the CNCF website, events that we'll be at, you'll see the other events that we'll be joining in.
Okay.
And also just recently launched is the CNCF Twitch stream. And so there's quite a few things. I've been on there with quite a few different people across security, storage, service mesh, lots of different interesting ideas popping up in the Twitch stream.
Fab,
and then kind of,
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of besides KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, we also run conferences or co-located events for some of our other projects too. So there's PromCon for Prometheus, the Helm Summit for Helm, Cloud Native Security Day, Cloud Native Storage Day, a variety of different events to kind of complement what else is going on in the Cloud Native ecosystem.
Fantastic, excellent. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly aware of the weekly events, and I've actually probably joined a few of them in the past. You also, I think, did a survey recently, which was conducted by /Data, and I found, I mean, that was quite an extensive bit of information, lots of really rich information there. Looking at it myself, it kind of looked like free market research, really, which was fantastic. There was lots of interesting information. Won't go into the details of that today. Maybe we'll be able to cover it in the future or something. But certainly, I mean, I posted something on it. Because I thought it was really good, the amount of data that was in there. It was very extensive, very rich, lots of people that were kind of surveyed, organizations that were surveyed, and it just looked like a really good source of what is the latest, what's the heartbeat on on everything cloud native. So yeah, I appreciate that. I did pick up on that as a separate item. Thank you for watching this talk. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Look out for part 2 on the same channel.